You think Victorians were prim and proper. Think again. They painted parlors arsenic green, then wondered why children kept coughing. They sold cocaine toothache drops for kids and called it medicine. They installed safety coffins with bell ropes, terrified of premature burials. The Great Stink chased Parliament out, while Bazalgette rebuilt London's sewers. Guests literally unwrapped Egyptian mummies after dinner, applauding like polite theater. Nurses hung baby cages from windows, and doctors warned of bicycle face. They posed for spirit photographs and strapped on electric vitality belts. Hit play and see 39 moments of ingenious, unforgettable Victorian madness. Queen Victoria wore mourning black for 4 decades straight. Decades of black dresses turned grief into a national uniform. After Prince Albert died in 1861, Victoria never stopped mourning. Court etiquette shifted. Widows copied the Queen's jet-trimmed silhouettes. Photographs from Windsor to Balmoral fixed the image across Britain. Merchants sold mourning crepe, hairwork brooches, and black-bordered stationery. The schedule even dictated weeks for half-mourning gray and lavender. Her daughters, like Princess Alice, modeled strict household protocols. Today's royal funeral optics trace back to Victoria's relentless grief. The empire learned etiquette from a widow guarding Albert's memory. Jack the Ripper panic spawned souvenir maps and tours. A murder panic quickly morphed into souvenirs and guided walks. In 1888, Whitechapel unknown killer attacks terrified London's East End. Newspapers printed maps. Crowds followed blood rumors like street theater. Entrepreneurs sold postcards, broadsides, and penny pamphlets at pubs. Police like Inspector Aberline battled hoaxes alongside genuine witnesses. The case fueled sensational journalism and early true crime celebrity culture. Suspect lists ballooned, from Montague Druitt to Aaron Kosminski. Even the name stuck, branding terror into marketable dark tourism. London still profits from footsteps retracing alleys nobody really understands. London's Great Stink drove Parliament out and built sewers. The smell finally forced London to rebuild itself from underground. During a hot 1858 summer, the Thames became a cesspool. Members fled Parliament. Curtains soaked with chloride couldn't mask anything. Engineer Joseph Bazalgette pushed intercepting sewers and massive pumping stations. Brickwork stretched for miles, diverting waste downstream beyond London. Financing came through the Metropolitan Board of Works. After arguments, cholera outbreaks declined once water sources separated from sewage. Embankments along Victoria and Albert stabilized riverbanks, adding roads. Modern London still rides on Bazalgette's brick vaults and foresight. Arsenic green wallpapers slowly poisoned fashionable Victorian homes. Fashionable parlors literally off-gassed poison behind their framed landscapes. Pigments like Sheila green and Paris green used arsenic compounds. Damp rooms released arsenic-laden dust that irritated lungs and skin. Doctors noticed illness clusters around wallpapers, especially in nurseries. William Morris defended his designs, while others sounded early alarms. Chemists developed alternative dyes as public pressure slowly mounted. Newspapers debated whether microbes or poison explained recurring symptoms. By late century, arsenic greens fell from fashionable favor. The trend died once houses realized their colors were killing. Soothing syrup dosed babies with morphine to stop crying. Desperate parents found relief, and infants quietly stopped crying. Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup contained morphine and other narcotics. Victorian drugstores sold bottles over the counter without prescriptions. Advertisements promised calm teething, colic relief, and grateful nights. Doctors later criticized overdoses and recorded tragic, preventable deaths. Reformers pushed labeling laws and poison warnings on patent medicines. The American Medical Association denounced such concoctions in public. Gradually, regulation narrowed access and reduced morphine-laced childcare practices. The label finally mattered more than the lullaby promised. Cocaine toothache drops were marketed for children's pain relief. Toothaches disappeared fast, and surprisingly, nobody asked many questions. Late 19th century chemists sold cocaine drops at corner shops. Ads even pictured children smiling beside miracle pain bottles. Dentists and doctors debated dosage safety, often behind closed doors. The drug's numbing properties seemed perfect for exposed nerves. Side effects emerged, from dependency risks to cardiac complications. Regulators eventually tightened access through pharmacy registration and labeling. American and British cities gradually banned child-focused narcotic advertising. The smiling illustrations disappeared long before the toothaches truly stopped. Safety coffins with bell ropes in case you woke. Some burials came with a backup plan and a bell. Fears of premature burial surged during 19th century cholera outbreaks. Inventors patented coffins with breathing tubes and signal lines. Designs from Germany, Britain, and America promised immediate rescue. Some graveyards installed watch houses and hired overnight attendants. Sensational pamphlets amplified rare cases into wide public dread. Clergy and physicians debated science versus superstition in newspapers. The hardware industry happily sold bells, tubes, and springs. Peace of mind often outlived any real chance of rescue. Spirit photography convinced families their dead appeared in portraits. People paid good money to meet ghosts in daylight. Photographers like William Mumler staged apparitions using double exposures. In Boston and New York, grieving clients lined studios. British believers imported the fad, praising mediums and plates. Skeptics, including P.T. Barnum, exposed tricks in court. Yet spiritualists like Arthur Conan Doyle defended photographs as evidence. Technical jargon about emulsions masked very simple studio manipulations. The camera's authority made illusions feel modern and scientific. Families left convinced they'd captured one more moment with loved ones. After-dinner mummy unwrapping parties entertained Britain's polite society. Guests applauded while ancient linen peeled away like stage curtains. In London salons, showmen like Thomas Pettigrew performed dissections. Collectors bought mummies from dealers trading along the Nile. Curiosity blurred with colonial display, and ethics rarely intervened. Physicians narrated anatomy, while guests compared amulets and resins. Newspapers treated events as fashionable science and exotic spectacle. Some remains ended dumped, ground for pigments, or recycled displays. Museums eventually criticized private unwrappings and tightened collection rules. The fad left Britain with cabinets full of ripped eternity. Phrenology. Read personality bumps like a serious medical science. Heads were mapped, measured, and labeled like town districts. European theorists inspired British enthusiasts and American lecture circuits. Figures like George Combe published manuals and hosted examinations. Employers and courts sometimes cited skull readings for decisions. Traveling shows sold plaster busts with numbered moral faculties. Critics attacked racial bias and flimsy evidence behind claims. As neuroscience advanced, phrenology slid into comfortable parlor entertainment. Yet its charts influenced early criminology and self-improvement culture. The bumps lingered longest in print shops selling hopeful posters. Anti-masturbation devices were patented as respectable health aids. Medical fear became hardware, complete with straps, locks, and spikes. 19th century patents widely described rings, alarms, and mechanical restraints. British manuals echoed American reformers' warning about imagined degeneracy. Doctors like John Harvey Kellogg spread strict regimens and devices. Manufacturers promised corrected habits, improved nerves, and moral rescue. Privacy concerns hid outcomes, though advertisements clearly targeted parents. As psychology matured, hardware claims slowly lost professional credibility. Yet cautionary pamphlets lingered in schools and temperance societies. The industry thrived where shame guaranteed steady, repeat customers. Tight-lacing corsets chased 16-inch waists and fainting couches. Fashion headlines promised impossible waists, and women allegedly swooned. Mid-century magazines praised tight-lacing, while physicians issued blunt warnings. Corsetiers fitted whalebone stays and steel busks for rigidity. Some photographs were heavily retouched, exaggerating dramatic hourglass silhouettes. Social dances and tram rides still happened, despite tight garments. Debates split along class lines and practical working realities. Dress reformers promoted looser waists and rational cycling outfits. The myth of universal fainting overshadows diverse everyday choices. Still, the silhouette obsession shaped advertising, posture, and mirrors. Giant crinolines caught fire and caused deadly accidents. A fashionable skirt could turn into a sudden torch. Steel-hooped crinolines swept candles, fireplaces, and dangerous street grates. Newspapers reported fatalities from London drawing rooms to Dublin. Fabric volumes hindered escape and entangled rescuers in frames. Satirists regularly mocked entrances blocked by enormous bell-shaped silhouettes. Some women switched to smaller turners as dangers mounted. Manufacturers touted fire-resistant fabrics, rarely matching real living conditions. Theater tragedies reinforced fears about skirts and open flames. The style eventually narrowed, saving space and lives indoors. Opium dens and laudanum were ordinary, respectable Victorian vices. Respectable households often kept narcotics beside the family Bible. Laudanum, a tincture of opium, soothed pain across classes. Writers like Thomas de Quincey publicized dependencies and strange dreams. London's Limehouse dens entered pop culture, sometimes exaggerated heavily. Pharmacists dispensed syrups for coughs, cramps, and exhausted nerves. Moralists warned of ruin, while manufacturers counted reliable profits. As regulation tightened, prescriptions gradually replaced open-counter purchases. Habit continued quietly in parlors, sanatoria, and writer boarding houses. The empire's drug routes ironically returned home as bedtime medicine. Matchgirls' Fossy Jaw came from glowing phosphorus fumes. Teenage workers lost teeth first, then pieces of jawbone. At Bryant and May in London, white phosphorus dusted everything. Sore gums turned into abscesses that glowed faintly in dark. The 1888 Matchgirls strike pushed conditions onto national headlines. Activists like Annie Besant backed workers demanding safer materials. Chemists promoted red phosphorus, far less dangerous for handling. Parliament eventually restricted white phosphorus and taxed unhealthy factories. Dental surgeons documented recoveries once exposure finally stopped altogether. The strike left a blueprint for labor organization and safety. Manchester's beer poisoning. Arsenic-contaminated pints across the city. Drinkers fell ill together, and doctors traced one common habit. Around 1900, Manchester hospitals saw nerve pain and paralysis. Investigators found arsenic in beer brewed with contaminated sugar. The sugar supplier's acid process had leached poison from ore. Local authorities warned pubs, and barrels were quickly withdrawn. Mortality inquiries named multiple breweries across Lancashire and Salford districts. Newspapers printed brand lists, fueling panic and frantic refunds. New testing rules for ingredients followed within subsequent government regulations. The episode showed industrial shortcuts traveling straight into evening pints. Hidden mothers held babies under shrouds in early photos. Baby portraits often included a disguised adult inside the frame. Long exposures made infants squirm, ruining sharp carte de visite. Studios draped mothers with shawls, curtains, or patterned chair covers. Sometimes only a hand appears, holding a toy or chin. Photographers preferred illusions to maintain the baby-alone sentimental style. British and American albums quietly hide these human tripods. As exposure times shortened, the disguise trick gradually vanished. Today's viewers spot shapes in upholstery that were worried mothers. The photographs kept stillness by masking the person supplying it. Bathing machines rolled women into the sea for modesty. Beachgoing started with a wagon and a very specific door. At Brighton and Margate, attendants pushed huts straight into waves. Women changed inside, then stepped down ladders away from gazes. The contraptions had curtains, wheels, and sometimes harnessed horses. Queen Victoria used one at Osborne House on the Isle of Wight. Mixed bathing gradually replaced segregated practices as norms relaxed. Engineers eventually built piers and promenades for fashionable strolling. The bathing machine faded, leaving postcards and museum pieces. Modesty rules changed faster than the shoreline holding those wheels. Hair jewelry wove braids of the dead into lockets. Mourning left tangible keepsakes, braided, coiled, and perfectly arranged. Jewelers in London and Wolverhampton specialized in hairwork memorial pieces. Queen Victoria's own mementos popularized the intimate commemorative style. Patterns formed flowers, weaves, and miniature baskets under glass. Magazines printed do-it-yourself guides with special looms and clamps. Some pieces used hair from living relatives, not funerals. Craftsmen labeled compartments with names, dates, and small monograms. Dealers also sold blanks, allowing families to assemble keepsakes. The fashion faded as photography replaced intimate physical tokens. Anthropomorphic taxidermy staged kittens' weddings in glass dioramas. Museum rules met nursery book humor behind polished Victorian glass. Walter Potter arranged kittens, rabbits, and squirrels performing human scenes. His Bramber, Sussex Museum displayed weddings, schools, and tea parties. Tiny paws gripped props, while painted backdrops suggested cozy villages. Photographs circulated widely, making the tableau minor tourist attractions. Critics argued between harmless whimsy and disrespect toward animals. Victorian curiosity cabinets blurred natural history with theatrical storytelling. After closing, collections scattered through sales and private buyers. The images still circulate whenever weird Victoriana trends online. Mustache cups protected waxed whiskers from tea and soup. Hot tea stopped wrecking waxed whiskers, thanks to a teacup. In Stoke-on-Trent, Harvey Adams added a porcelain mustache guard. A curved shelf blocked steam, saving pomade and waxed tips. Victorian gentlemen in clubs ordered bespoke cups with discreet ledges. Baristas weren't involved. Potteries and drapers sold them widely. Illustrated catalogs showed patterns matching saucers, monograms, and regimental crests. Americans imported the idea as everyday coffeehouse grooming insurance. Without it, mustaches collapsed into tea like doomed lifeboats. With it, whiskers survived breakfast, cigars, and windy street corners. Doctors warned women about the horrors of bicycle face. Supposedly, bicycles warped faces. Actually, nervous critics feared independence. In the 1890s, British and American doctors issued grave warnings. They blamed flushed cheeks, bulging eyes, and unfeminine grim determination. Cyclists like Francis Willard answered with miles, not debates. Rational dress clubs swapped corsets for bloomers and gaiters. Manufacturers marketed step-through frames and chain guards for skirts. Newspapers loved scares. Advertisers loved selling ladies' safety models. By season's end, faces looked normal, but cities felt smaller. Two wheels quietly redrew maps of errands, friendships, and work. X-ray portrait parties began before anyone understood radiation. Glowing bones dazzled parlors before anyone respected the danger. After 1895, London salons hosted demonstrations with Crookes tubes. Guests posed hands while operators peered through Edison-style fluoroscopes. Photographers sold souvenir plates showing rings, fractures, and watches. Clarence Dalley's burns later warned experimenters about cumulative exposure. Hospitals adopted diagnostics even as safety practices lagged years. Drugs marveled at miracles, calling radiation invisible medical lightning. Lead aprons and timing switches arrived only after injuries. The party trick quietly became radiology, minus the champagne. Electric belts and magneto corsets promised instant vitality. Tired? Strap electricity on. That was the sales pitch. Pulvermacher galvanic chains promised vigor through gentle battery current. Davis and Kidder sold magneto machines with hand-cranked shocks. Advertisements claimed cures for nerves, impotence, and tired backs. Some belts hid zinc-copper cells under velvet and buckles. Testimonials flowed. Clinical evidence didn't keep pace with enthusiasm. Postal inspectors eventually fined manufacturers for extravagant medical promises. Yet the buzzword stayed. People believed electricity meant modern. When real therapy arrived, the belts quietly moved to attics. Mummy brown paint was literally ground Egyptian remains. Painters literally brushed with mummies ground into brown pigment. London's Robertson and Company sold mummy brown pigment to artists. The recipe blended asphaltum, resins, and ancient human remains. Pre-Raphaelite circles reportedly used it for subtle flesh shadows. Some artists balked after learning the frankly macabre origin. Tubes were occasionally ceremonially buried, according to studio anecdotes. As supplies dwindled, manufacturers gradually pivoted to safer synthetic browns. Museums today label samples with warnings and cautious explanations. The color stayed warm. The source finally stayed buried. Poison could be bought easily at the local chemist. Before strict registers, arsenic sat beside cough syrup at counters. Victorian chemists dispensed strychnine, prussic acid, and opiates routinely. Customers signed occasionally. Coloring additives sometimes flagged danger visually. The Arsenic Act required records and dyed batches for safety. Later, pharmacy laws tightened sales and demanded trained oversight. Newspaper poison panics often followed domestic disputes or frauds. Coroners kept careful notebooks, connecting clusters to particular shops. Even with rules, loopholes lingered across rural market towns. Eventually, skull and crossbones labels outshouted elegant script on bottles everywhere. Starling release for Shakespeare lines wrecked North American ecosystems. A poetic bird release rewrote ecosystems across a continent. In 1890, Eugene Shefflin emptied crates in Central Park. He loved Shakespeare's lines and wanted every mentioned bird. European starlings thrived, swarming cornfields and city ventilation grates. But decades later, their flocks stretched from coast to coast. Airfields battled bird strikes. Orchards battled pecked fruit constantly. Biologists cite Victorian acclimatization clubs as cautionary origin stories. The project sounded literary. The outcome sounded like thunder. Millions of wings answered one man's sentimental reading habit. Penny dreadfuls sparked moral panics over corrupting youth. Cheap cereals terrified parents and thrilled boys on trams. Penny dreadfuls printed cliffhangers starring Sweeney Todd and Varney. Street vendors hawked chapters outside schools and factory gates. Moralists warned about crime imitation and ruined attention spans. Editors responded with cleaner alternatives, like the Boys' Own illustrators, crammed alleys, daggers, and rooftops into every panel. Police occasionally blamed magazines when children committed sensational pranks. Despite lectures, endings often punished villains with grim inevitability. The scare sold papers. The papers sold the scare. Sea Air prescriptions sent patients to seaside cure resorts. Doctors wrote seaside on prescription pads, and trains obliged. Brighton, Scarborough, and Blackpool turned into seasonal health resorts. Dr. Richard Russell's earlier theories met Victorian railway timetables. Patients rented bath chairs and listened to brass bands. Piers offered clean promenade air, lemonade, and respectable distance. Cold plunges, sandwalks, and careful diets filled itineraries. Hotels printed menus promising digestion, sleep, and moderate excitement. By autumn, many returned tan, rested, and slightly poorer. The cure persisted even after germs replaced miasma in textbooks. Fern Perth and orchidilerium turned plant collecting into obsession. Victorians chased plants like celebrities, and the jungle noticed. Pteridomania, fern fever, filled drawing rooms with Wardian cases. Clippers carried delicate specimens from Ceylon, Borneo, and Brazil. Orchidilerium pushed boulder hunters under waterfalls and colonial laws. Dealers like Frederick Sander financed expeditions searching mythical blooms. Greenhouses at Kew displayed marvels behind steamed glass panes. Collectors boasted survival tricks while rivals sabotaged shipments sometimes. Magazines covered auctions where fortunes traded for fragile petals. The fad left botanical names, but also battered landscapes behind. Dog poo pure finders sold buckets to leather tanneries. The city's filth paid. Tanneries called it valuable pure. Dog dung softened hides during tanning in Bermondsey yards. Pure finders roamed alleys with buckets and battered poles. Pay came per bucket, not per dignity or smell. Children sometimes joined. Noses learned survival very quickly indeed. Public health legislation and paving gradually reduced street supplies. Tanneries bought alternatives as manure collection systems improved citywide. The trade faded, but memoirs preserved its horrible vocabulary. Victorian leather still owes a debt to unsung collectors. Spiritualist seances drew scientists, socialites, and celebrity mediums. Drawing rooms darkened. Scientists and duchesses held hands nervously. Daniel Douglas' home floated trumpets and tables for witnesses. Florence Cook materialized Katie King for investigator William Crooks. Magicians exposed tricks, demonstrating hidden wires and false cabinets. Yet bereaved families didn't need much convincing or light. Newspapers reported dramatic tests, then quietly printed retractions later. Society figures kept attending, calling it research, not faith. Afterward, parlors resumed whist, gossip, and perfectly normal tea. The veil lifted nightly, mostly with strings attached somewhere. Chimney sweeps sent small boys crawling through toxic flues. Smoke swallowed children. Chimneys swallowed them even faster, nightly. Climbing boys scraped soot from flues with elbows and knees. Masters sent them into fireplaces barely wider than shoulders. Suffocations and burns made funerals a professional occupational warning. Percival Pott long earlier linked soot to scrotal cancers. Laws in 1840 and 1875 finally banned child climbing. Joseph Glass's mechanical brush offered a humane, effective alternative. Lord Shaftesbury campaigned relentlessly, shaming reluctant master sweeps publicly. Meanwhile, rooftops stayed black, and cities breathed reluctantly cleaner. Black-bordered stationery announced extended mourning to everyone. Even letters wore grief. Borders shouted mourning before words. Thick lines announced immediate family. Thinner bands meant distance. Stationers in London sold complete kits for bereaved households. Etiquette guides timed transitions to half-mourning grays and lilacs. Postmen recognized news before opening, judging width and tone. Printers offered monograms, crests, and discrete seasonal motifs, too. The system synchronized households during months of ritual obligations. Once mourning ended, borders narrowed until envelopes looked ordinary. The paper carried calendar rules as clearly as ink. Arsenic complexion wafers promised milky skin from inside. Clear skin by poison sounded reasonable to fashionable shoppers. Chemists sold arsenic complexion wafers beside perfumes and soaps. Ads promised milky clarity, smaller pores, and charming cheeks. Fowler's solution, an arsenic tonic, already floated through medicine. Some brands claimed safety through tiny doses and careful titration. Doctors documented discoloration, neuropathy, and other grave side effects. Regulatory acts gradually forced poison labeling and restricted sales. Yet demand lingered where mirrors promised careers and marriages. Beauty's price sometimes came stamped with a skull emblem. Tooth keys yanked molars with brutal pre-anesthetic hardware. A dentist's key yanked molars like twisting old door locks. Barber surgeons braced jaws and turned the handle hard clockwise. Sometimes the crown shattered, sometimes the jaw cracked badly. Chloroform anesthesia arrived later, reducing screams but not risk. New forceps designs gradually replaced the rotational levering approach. Traveling tooth drawers worked fairs, drawing crowds and reluctant customers. Posters advertised speed. Patients prayed for precision that day. Medical colleges standardized training and sterilization with growing rigor. The key faded into cabinets, leaving stories no one envies. Public hangings drew festive crowds until 1868's reforms. Executions moved indoors after crowds turned justice into spectacle. In 1868, Michael Barrett died outside Newgate before thousands. Vendors sold songs, pies, and printed confessions to spectators. Executioner William Calcraft worked a long, controversial career publicly. Officials argued crowds encouraged crime rather than scaring it. The Capital Punishment Amendment Act forced privacy behind walls. Outside, pickpockets thrived. Inside, procedures standardized and tightened considerably. Newspapers still reported every detail, minus the carnival outside. Public justice shrank, leaving silence where shouting once gathered. Mail-order quack tonics mix strychnine, alcohol, and hope. Bottles traveled by post promising nerves, vigor, and bravery. Many contained alcohol, caffeine, or microdoses of strychnine stimulants. Testimonials filled catalogs between corsets and patent razors handsomely. Lydia Pinkham's vegetable compound became a household name internationally. Vin Mariani mixed cocoa wine, delighting European and American elites. Regulators gradually required ingredients on labels and banned claims. Some firms folded, others reformulated and survived the scrutiny. Meanwhile, customers chased cures through mail slots and seasons. Hope shipped quickly. Refunds rarely traveled the same direction. Baby cages hung from windows to air apartment infants. Infants napped in wire boxes jutting from apartment windows. Fresh air medicine outlived the Victorian era into Edwardian. Clubs in London distributed balcony cages to space-starved families. Mothers clipped harnesses, slid panels, and watched from kitchens. Patent filings and photographs show neighbors watching, equally fascinated. Doctors insisted city air toughened lungs and improved appetite. Building managers sometimes balked. Safety debates rarely fully ended. As windows changed, cages folded into basements, and memory, the photo albums linger, equal parts nursery and nerve.